Hi, I just finished reading this book, War Doctor by David Nott, who is a doctor who spent most of his life, sorry, a surgeon who spent most of his life actually going to war zones, going to conflict zones and treating the people there. So it's an amazing book. Not the easiest read in the world because this is a guy, his father was Indian, who fled Burma. He's also he also flew planes. There's a bit about where he is fascinated with planes and recalling, reading about his childhood. Um, Incredible story. I mean, his father became an orthopedic surgeon. He's from Burma, I believe. Was it India or Burma? Anyway, his father wasn't white. His mother was English. She was studying to be a nurse when he was very young, and his father was studying to be a doctor. He eventually became an orthopedic surgeon. David himself held, maybe still holds, posts at Chelsea, St Mary's, um, St George's as well, I believe. Very, probably the most experienced surgeon in the world. And he has spent all this time, he grew up with his grandparents in Wales while his parents were studying, training. He became a surgeon, and he just has a pull to help people. So he starts off, he went to Syria, he went to Sarajevo, he went to all other wars, the ethnic cleansing, the just utter devastation was going on there. He talks about being in Sudan and Chad. Apparently, is 1 million square miles. I didn't know that. But in Sudan, you've got the Janjaweed, the devils on horses, and then you've got the pro-government, and it's a mess. You know, raping girls, for example. So he spent a long time performing obstetrics, and basically, these fuckers go and rape a 9-year-old girl. She gets pregnant, and her body isn't developed enough for the baby to be delivered. So babies were dying in the wombs, gangrenous skulls, trapped in pelvic bones. Just horrible stuff like that. The book's good not because of the horror of it, but because of the writing is good. The heroicness of, what this guy has done, it's incredible. It's actually quite fucking emotional reading this book. Just the stuff he saw. I mean, in Assad, the way in Syria, and a lot of the book concentrates on Syria. What they were doing to civilians, what the government was doing to civilians, what Russia was helping the government to do. They dropped these bombs called barrel bombs, which just basically caused buildings to just crumble, and people were coming in caked in dust, choked on dust. One of the tactics of the snipers, and this one was in Syria as well, I think, was to shoot pregnant women. And they got rewarded for that by the government with packs of cigarettes and stuff. And then another day would be to shoot people in the left groin or in the back of the... They weren't trying to kill people with clean kills. They were trying to disable them, trying to, ruin their life. It's horrific. But then you read about what this guy and the other people, the other surgeons, surgeons, you'll come across them if you read your book, Abu Wahid, just these incredible people, and what they do, what they give up just to help people. I say what they give up, it's not entirely altruistic, they get a buzz from it, it's what gives their life's meaning, but it's an incredible book. I'm not going to give it 10 out of 10 just because it's so hard to read. Not hard to read as in the words are difficult, but hard to read because it's emotionally very impacting. He talks about Sudan, where there's a civil war, and now there's South Sudan and everything, and how you had the government, the pro-government guys, the Janjaweed, the Muslims were killing the Christians, and the Christians were killing the Muslims, and the Arabs were being ethnically cleansed, and then they were ethnically cleansing, and just their policy of hacking off limbs, off of babies, off children, off anyone, just going around hacking off limbs. How do people get this fucked up? And when he talks about the war in Syria as well, and the guy actually got to speak to Assad. It was because of him that these 500 children and all these doctors who were basically in the last enclave in Aleppo, which was just being closed in on by ISIS, by government troops. They're trying to kill everyone, basically trying to kill everyone with Russia's help. And by the way, if you spent time around people who push all these conspiracy theories, fucking morons, turn your brains on. Maybe it's not a war, maybe it's just propaganda. Is it real? But I read something about the Illuminati, you fucking morons. So, sorry, I get quite worked up about this stuff. This guy was there. Read it. It's a really good book. Even if you're not one of these idiotic conspiracy theorists, it's a really good book. You know, 330 pages, blah, blah, blah. He ends up... I don't want to tell you about the story because it spoils it, but he does end up getting married. He goes through his whole life just, you know, from one war zone to another, and all these close shaves with death in places like Sarajevo and... it's not the easiest book to review, I guess. Definitely worth reading. About 330 pages. Amazing story. It's biographical. What does it say on the front? Adam Kay, author of This Is Going to Hurt. Adam Kay is another surgeon, I think. I've read his book. Brave, compassionate and inspiring. This book should be in every house, yes. And it should be read. For the emotional journey, for the insight into what war zones are like. You know, all these idiots, oh, we need a war to be great again. No, you need a fucking brain transplant. Very good book. Highly recommended. And there you go. I think I kind of made a mess of that review, but I hope you got something from it. Thank you.